Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to crochet a solid granny square. I am using today a light or level 3 weight yarn. I believe this is Bernat blanket or baby yarn, baby blanket yarn. It's super soft and I love the colors. So it works really well for the granny stitch, or for granny squares. And I'll also be using my G6 or 4.25 millimeter hook. So really this can be done with whatever yarn or hook combination you would like. I highly recommend though that you grab a hook and yarn that are suited for one another before you get started. Make sure you know how to complete a magic ring and to chain and double crochet before you get going, but other than that, that's all you really need to know to do this. So go ahead and grab your yarn and hook and let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty guys, so to start your solid granny square, you're going to start with a magic ring. So just as a reminder, you're going to hold it with your 2 fingers, with your pinky and your 4th finger, and you're going to wrap it around your fingers, 2 lines in the back, X in the front, go under the first one, and then you're going to pull through, make a loop, slide it off. Remember, I have a full tutorial on how to do a magic ring on my channel. So now that you have your magic ring, you're going to go ahead and chain 4. So the first 2 will count as a double crochet, and the second 2 will be our first corner, all right? So then you're going to go ahead and double crochet into the ring 3 times. So I've got 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to go ahead and chain 2. And that'll be your second corner. And sometimes I like to close my magic ring a little bit if it starts getting too big, because I know it can make it difficult to kind of manage everything. So you're going to double crochet 3 more times. So we got 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to chain 2 again, and this will be your 3rd corner. And then you're going to double crochet 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. So you see we have 1 side, 2 sides, 3 sides, so we're going to do our final side. We'll do our final corner first, so chain 2 for your final corner, and then this final side you're going to double crochet twice. So 1, 2, and then you are going to slip stitch to the second chain. So we have 1, 2, for me they always seem to want to twist with the magic ring, so I always take a little extra time trying to make sure it's good. And then you're going to go ahead and pull your magic ring tight, just like that. So you can keep pulling, and sometimes it'll loosen, and that's totally fine, it's normal. And then what you're going to do is you're going to slip stitch into this chain space right here. And then we'll go ahead and start. So you got your first row done, we'll start our second row. We're going to go ahead and chain 2. That'll count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet again into that corner chain space. Then we're going to go ahead and make our first corner. So we're going to chain 2 for our first corner, double crochet 2 more into the chain space. So 1, 2, just like that. And then we're going to double crochet in the top of each stitch. So I have 2, 3, and then I'm going to double crochet 2 more into this chain space. 1, 2. So the goal will be for you to have 4 more double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, than you had in the last row, because you're adding 2 more double crochets on either side in your chain spaces. So now we're going to make our next corner. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to double crochet again, 2 more in this corner, and double crochet across. So got 1 double crochet, 2, and 3, and then 2 more double crochets in that corner, 1, 2, and then you're going to chain 2 for the corner, excuse me, and then now you're going to go ahead and start this next side. So just like before, 2 double crochets again, 1 double crochet in each stitch, and then 2 more double crochets in the corner space. And then chain 2. All right, for this final side, you're going to go ahead and double crochet twice again into that chain space for the corner. So we have 1 and 2, and you're going to double crochet once in each stitch. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to slip stitch in the top of the chain 2, because that's our first, remember that counts as our first double crochet. Okay, slip stitch, and your second row is complete. Sometimes you gotta keep pulling that magic ring tight as you go, and then before you start your next row, you're going to slip stitch into this chain space. Now I do it this way because I've experimented with a lot of different solid granny squares, and for me personally, this is the way that gets the cleanest look overall. Other ways work totally well. They just tend, for me, to make either like this corner where your seam is to be like super large, or they tend to kind of end up getting uneven almost, or I have to count all the time. Now, a tip I would suggest you use is to make sure that you have the correct number of stitches on this row that contains your seam, because often what will happen is you'll either add a stitch or you'll miss a stitch in this side of your granny square. I've seen it happen a lot. I've done it a lot, so that would be my suggestion. So just as an example, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets, and then I just go opposite. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. So you want to just make sure that they're even on all sides. So we'll go ahead and do one more row. Go chain 2. And this is how you're going to increase every row. You're always going to have 2 double crochets on either side of your previous row to increase the size of your rows. So we have our chain 2 counts as our first double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet again, and we'll chain 2, just like always for every corner. Double crochet 2 again in the same chain space. Double crochet in every stitch across. Now, my recommendation always is to try to keep your tension pretty even with these, because that's where your squares can get kind of wonky. But if they do, don't worry about it too much. If you have a blocking tools, that'll help a lot. Or if you're able to just block it, it'll even it back out. So we had 2 over here. We double crocheted in every stitch. We're going to do 2 more double crochets in our corner to increase for this row. And then for the corner, we chain 2. So we're going to repeat this around on each side. Now, one of my absolute favorite things about granny squares is you can repeat these steps to make your granny square as large as you want. I've made blankets with granny squares that were really just one ginormous granny square, but you can also use them to make tote bags. You could use them to make rugs, coasters. You could use them really for anything that is a square shape, or that you can make multiple of them and make them into different shapes. They're really such a versatile crochet option that it's just so much fun to know how to make them in different styles and how to use them just as a basic foundational concept for crochet. It's really fun as well if you get to know other pattern designers, because you'll see so many people have been having so much fun with these, and they make them into like flower totes, and it's really amazing to see how creative so many crocheters are to make their own patterns and to use these granny squares, which are just so classic. It's just really, really fun. So if you love granny squares, I highly suggest you start checking out. Instagram's a great place where you can get some inspiration to see how to use them for yourself, or Pinterest. Pinterest is always a great place. But there's just so many different patterns out there. Some are free, some you have to pay for, but really all of them are worth it. So I would highly suggest you check out the different options, and then feel free to just experiment for yourself. I mean, you can kind of see how these granny squares are they're so much fun. I honestly just love them as like a way to take your mind off of things, and you can pop on a show or a podcast and totally listen to something else while you crochet away. So always my suggestion is to find something that you love and just keep using it as much as you possibly can. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up this one. Okay. Alrighty. And one more. So you'll see I crochet in the top of this chain 2, and I crochet that in that double crochet as well. Alright guys, and then to wrap up this row, we are just going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2. and then we are going to go ahead and slip stitch into that corner. Now, as I said before, you can go ahead and repeat this as many times as you want. All you have to do is make sure you're adding 2 double crochets on either side to increase the size of your rows and make sure that it'll stay nice and square for you. If you have, like this one, personally, I'm okay without blocking, depending on what I'm using, but if you're wanting like a very, very straight, clean lines, I highly recommend that you block these, which simply means you're going to go ahead and pin it into the shape that you want, and you can spray it with some water, you can steam block it. There's a whole bunch of different tutorials on how to do that. And I just highly recommend that if you're wanting very, very clean, straight lines. But it's really your choice and your preference, and depending on what you're going to use it for. So if you enjoyed this tutorial and you want to see more like it, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. If you are wanting to learn more about crochet basics and how to do just the basic stitches, you can check out more crochet tutorials over on my channel. I also have a blog at godsgiftofcreativity.com if you prefer reading or want the written instructions. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to see what you create.